Rust kills all of my cars. I live in an area of upstate New York known for its snow. My town averages over 12 feet of snow a year, and our local DOT does a good job keeping the roads clear of it. However, they do this by dumping a lot of corrosive salts on the road. My first car was a 2001 Ford Taurus. I sold it in 2010 because parts of it were literally falling off from rust. I also had to replace the engine subframe because of rust, because the power steering rack was tearing itself loose. My 2003 Honda Element lasted 245,000 miles in around 15 years in the area before its rear control arm pulled out of its unibody. It was also rusting fairly badly along the bottom of the doors. My 1994 Saturn SW2 I owned from 2012 to 2017 as a second vehicle. It spent from 1993 to 2003 in Virginia. It was fairly rusty when I bought it, and the owner had bondoed the rear door sills. I sold it for scrap when I couldn't get it inspected at a legitimate shop anymore due to rusty attachment points for the suspension. My most recent victim of rust is my 2007 Honda Fit. I sold it while it was still worth some money, but it probably only had about 18 months left before rust claimed its life too. The front end of the car wasn't too bad, but the rocker panels, rear wheel wells, exhaust, rear frame, and rear bumper were all very badly rusted, and the exhaust was almost at the end of its life. I had patched it together several times. This all brings me to today's video. I'm finally going to try to fight back against the rust and undercoat my car myself. Undercoating will hopefully give me a couple of extra years with my current cars. So today I'm undercoating my 2016 Honda Fit. And as you can see, when you look underneath these, they're really, everything, there's some metal exposed, but there is a lot of underbelly panels to take off. This is a pretty clean car. It's from, I believe, Tennessee originally, maybe Kentucky. So it's kind of rare to have a car this clean up here in the north. As you can see, we got a little bit of bumper rust inside the bumper cover starting. Allegedly, this car only spent from February till probably May, March or May in our upstate environment, so it's remarkably clean compared to, I'll probably put up some cards of a car I went and looked at. He said that he ran over a tire in the road, and that's what caused this damage here. And probably you can see that there's some scuffing in this area too. But I'm gonna pop off, hopefully, all 600 of these little plastic push pins. That's on my second gen. All these are held in with 10mm bolts with captive nuts that just stay stuck. But I'm gonna pull off the main belly pan in the back, the main belly pan in the front, and maybe move the side belly pans. But on my old Fit, it mostly rusts right along the rockers. So I'm gonna do my best to spray inside the rockers. I'm not sure, but these might come out. Yeah, I think they do. So I'll probably try to pull those plugs out and spray all up in there. It also rusted pretty badly on these back frame rails. I sprayed, actually this is, never mind, it was my second gen that I installed the trailer hitch on, but I pre-sprayed my second gen before I put the hitch on. So I'll do my best on this trailer hitch. I'm not gonna remove the bumper cover. I'm gonna do my best to spray up in there. I'm not gonna remove any of this. I'm just gonna spray my best around the edges. Well, I guess I'll get started. Well, on these push pins, I've had the best luck just using 2 screwdrivers. Smaller the blades generally, the better. Oh, you can get them in, and you just work them on opposite sides. First try. What size are you? A 17. Doesn't have quite a few splash shields. So I've removed those 3 main panels down the middle. If you really want to go for it, you can also remove the fender wells. You got all sorts of push pins and little screws holding those in, and spray behind those. Obviously these little corners, and then you can probably get a better view of the front bumper. But on my Gen 1 fit, which I know might not be a good representation, not much up here rusted. It was pretty much from the tires back, which makes sense because that's where the tires are going to kick up all the salt and the sand and stuff. And I also had an exhaust leak in the back that made it so it rusted real bad back here by the muffler. The seam split out on the muffler, and so it rusted this back frame member right here pretty badly. But mostly it's from the tires back, so I'm not gonna bother removing the tire wells in the front and or in the back. The back is covered pretty well, and it didn't really rust too bad back in here. It did, however, the rockers were terrible on my car. And I put a lot of miles on my cars, so I'm getting at most 400,000 miles out of it. I expect more like 280. So if anything else rots out, I'm not too worried about it. I mostly want to make sure that the suspension mounting points like this, my rockers are all set, and the front, same thing, suspension mounting points, anything like that you want to take care of. Obviously, try not to get much on your exhaust. It's going to smoke. Most of this stuff won't rust too much. It will rust, but it takes a lot longer. Mostly you want to focus on behind the tires and the frame rails, and I'm going to spray some on the rear bumper area as best I can up here because that rots right out, but everything rots around here. So I'll do my best in the back. I will get my cart of tools out of the way. This is what the bottom looks like. I'll try to give you a good walkthrough. You can see that it's still pretty clean. I'm not actually gonna clean too much stuff off from it. I'll probably spray it off with the air hose. Ideally, you'd probably want to spray everything off, clean it up nice. But I'm gonna say this is the lazy man's way of undercoating, so we'll see how it works. This will be a test subject. I'm probably only gonna do this once on this car, unless in a couple years I see that it's getting worse or coming off anyway. But that's what the underside of the car currently looks like. So the product I'm using for my corrosion inhibitor or undercoating is LPS 3. Watched some videos on it. I'm fairly impressed at how it seems to perform compared to like fluid film and Crown and some of the others. I like that you can apply it with some simple tools. You can use a normal paint sprayer. The idea is that once this heats up, or once this dries, quote unquote dries, it leaves behind like this waxy, self-healing stuff. It seems to do well with rock chips and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that this will be a fairly long-term solution. I'm hoping at least 2 years between applications. It says that it's good for 2 years indoors for rust prevention. Here's what it recommends. They use it on airplanes quite a bit. You probably want to apply this when it's fairly warm out. As I just learned, this is a spray bottle that I have, and it looks a lot like chocolate milk, and it's actually already starting to come back a little bit. You can see how it's waxy up here, but that's the idea of how it dries, is it'll dry waxy. It does dry brown, so you don't want to use it anywhere where you care about cosmetics. Because when I first brought it in here, it was very thick, and I just checked it again, and now obviously it's a little more liquid. But my plan was to warm it up a little bit, and that way it'll hopefully spread on easily. But all I have for tools, I have a Windex spray bottle. You can brush it on. It's a lot like a paint stain, but the main tool I plan on using, as I bought this from Harbor Freight, was recommended by another guy on his channel. I'll hopefully post a link in the description, but it's just a little hand sprayer. You just fill it like 2/3 of the way full of LPS. You pump it up using the handle on the top, and you squeeze the trigger, and it sprays out. You can adjust the nozzle for spray pattern. I'm going to need a funnel to load this, and then hopefully go to work. Here on the can, you can see how it dries. It's kind of weird. It feels wet. But it doesn't really come off on your, I guess that's not a good finger to show it on, but this is my pinky finger. It's fairly clean on that side. And it doesn't really come off. You can scratch it, and it's just a weird consistency. It's somewhere slightly thinner than wax. I can't think of what else is similar other than like fryer grease or something, like built up kitchen grease is kind of what it reminds me of. But because it's kind of liquid, it will allegedly self-heal. Even though I scratched it off, you can see that there is a little bit of a film left. But I'm hoping that, I watched another video, they tried to spray it off with a pressure washer and an electric pressure washer, and it didn't come off with that. And I actually tried that on my other car because I sprayed the back with it to prevent rust from spreading, and then I tried to clean it off with the pressure washer. It didn't come off. What works pretty well is WD-40. You spray it with WD-40, you wipe it off, and then you soap and water it off. I brought some paint thinner because that should take care of it, but I can't guarantee that. But while these heat up, I'm gonna go find a funnel to load my sprayer with. So I pumped up the sprayer, and then need to change the stream on it a little bit. Probably something like that. To be honest, I'm not too worried about control arms and so this is what I ended up with. It went on real thick when it was cold. If you're doing this, it'll probably get everywhere. I need to wipe down the exhaust. I don't know how flammable it is, but I don't really want to find out. I got all these body plugs out, and as you can see, it did spray pretty well up in there. So I'm hoping that it'll prevent the rocker panels from rusting out. You can actually see in that one, if I can get the light just right, that it was starting to rust in there. I got the rockers all sprayed down. Everything's coated in this goop. It is messy stuff. It's slippery stuff. But hopefully it's worth it. We will find out. But I'm gonna put all the body plugs back in. I'm gonna have to touch up around the area where the lift arms are. I didn't get very good in there, but I applied it too thick and I just kind of smeared it around with my hands. But this is what it looks like. I'm gonna put all the body plugs on, put all the panels on, and then I'm gonna spray the doors. And a spot on the fits that likes to rust is right here, the back of the rear wall, and I'm not sure if that's dirt or rust there already. I'm probably gonna spray inside the doors a little bit, but that's undercoating. And like I said, I'm probably not gonna pull those panels back off ever again unless I have to for a repair, but I'll try to keep up on it, especially after this first winter. Actually, missed all of that, so I'll hit that again. Maybe I'll just smear some from the rest of the arm, but that's undercoating. I'll let you know how it works out for me.